Listen, I got me a Trinidadian,
a magical
Panamanian mermaid.
Listen, I said, when I went to your website and I saw that she was hyperlinked on the site, I said,
It's real.
My nigga will also put my webpage on his page.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's how he will also be so proud of me, and I will do the same.
Yes.
It to the end.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I actually called my mom just before this, and I said, "Ma, I'm about to go and like pour my heart out to these people. Like what should I do? What should I say?" And she's like, "Baby, just be who you are, and just say what you've been saying. Don't say anything new, right?" So,
I mean, it's gotten you this far.
I think so.
I mean, not to say that we are this far, but like
Right.
in your
Listen, we are this far.
This is literally a physical manifestation of a moment that's in my life right now where I'm forced to really kind of come out into the world in a way that I'm not used to. Like Blavity specifically is a very visible position within not only the tech community, but also within our own communities, right, of color. So, I've always had kind of these moments in life where it's like, okay, I graduated valedictorian, right? And I went to a predominantly white school and being, a black person in an engineering field, right? And then being in a space where I was in advertising, being one of the only black creatives. These are moments where I'm like forced to kind of reconcile with my own personal identity and how I, relate to the space. But like Blavity is like another moment where I'm just like, okay, the world is getting to see another layer of me.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm getting to experience another layer of myself, right? Growing as a manager, learning how to lead people, learning how to truly care for people, especially when I don't agree with them, right?
Yeah.
And care for people who are very different from me and think very differently. Like that's a big thing. And I think when I think about my personal story and think about my life and all the people that I've been blessed to be around and folks who have nurtured me, like a lot of it has just come back to this idea of like, I was very different than them and they still loved me and they still cared for me. And they gave me something because I saw something special in them, or they saw something special in me. So they gave me a piece of themselves. So I'm trying to give myself in the same way.
That's what it sounds like. I mean, you in this, even in that breath, you talked about like being at Blavity and being really committed to that, right? And like recently married and being really committed to that. So it seems like in this space that you're in, like, yeah, we definitely have arrived, right? Like this is the life that we wanted to have, to sit around the table with people who look like us and have candid conversations with them, right? To be in a workspace where you are yourself and you show up as yourself and you can care about people despite, your differences, because you can reach an agreement and you have something in common. Yeah. So it's incredible to have, I'm proud of you as a black man and as a friend to have you here, Quinnton Harris. Yes. Thank you for joining us on It's a Look.
Creative Director of Blavity's in the building, phenomenal photographer, hilarious human.
Oh my Lord.
So I think
he called his mama before. Like, that's how you know he's real. I would have called my mama before.
Listen, listen, your mom is going to enjoy this.
Right. Oh, God.
Is Ariel, not Ariel?
Oh, either one.
Okay.
So I called her Ari for a long time. She said, my name is actually pronounced Ariel. I was like...
Is that why you're saying that we can say whatever we want? Because she told you.
Because she told me.
She told you what it was.
Liberty, but she gave me the liberty to say, baby, however you want to say it. And I said, okay, well, I'm just going to say bae.
Okay.
Because I've only met her once. I'll say Ariel. My favorite Disney princess actually is Ariel.
Yeah, she was actually named after her.
Was she?
Yeah.
A lot of people in that generation were like Jasmines and Ariels.
Listen, because the women were magical and you got you a magical one.
Listen, I got me a Trinidadian, Panamanian mermaid.
Listen, I said, when I went to your website and I saw that she was hyperlinked on the site, I said,
it's real.
My nigga will also put my webpage on his page.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's how he will also be so proud of me, and I will do the same.
Yes.
in it to the end.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Touched.
I'm just incredibly proud to be for this life to be curated in this way, like to be around all these amazing people, including you all. I mean, I met you guys at 2 separate Afrotechs.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't know you guys were connected until like, I started following you. I'm like, oh, she hangs out, but like, I think we're all like, we're in this space together for a reason. And I want to continue to vibe and be, to elevate you all in the same way that you're elevating me too, So
I think going back to what you said about being seen and being heard in a new way just makes me think about, with this platform, with people hearing me and seeing me in ways that they never have. I guess I always struggle with, am I depicting the truest version of myself?
Yeah.
And I feel like I only know that in retrospect. I only know that after the fact and not in it. So I wonder, in being seen, how do you deal with the dichotomy of like being yourself or being performative of yourself? How do you try to sink back into what is your truest version of yourself? Or do you know, or can you figure that out?
Yeah, the way I'm starting to think about it now, which is very different than how I thought about it before, was these moments where the light is shining on me personally or my life is a representation of me in that particular moment. So it's a moment of time that I can look back at and see every part of my life where I was thriving in, where I was struggling in. How much did I take time for myself? How much did I take time to serve others? Like it's a real good representation of like, or at least for me, a litmus kind of test of like, am I really doing the things that I really want to do and what I, really want to set my mind to? And so like this moment here is a snapshot.
Yeah.
And it's kind of why I love photography in so many different ways, because like I obsessed over those photos that y'all curated, because I knew that they were connected to you all in some way, even if you didn't know someone, right? Like that record, especially for my man's over here, that evokes a certain emotion, and he knows when and where he got that album, right? And he knows what that album cover means to him, even if it's not people that relate to him, right? Like, and that's why I think, and I hate to bring up Kanye right now, and I think that's why as a community we're having such an emotional response to the things that he's doing right now, because his energy, his spirit meant something to us, and we personified it in our own lives in some way, and we're dealing with it now. Like, like we're dealing with how we have to feel about him in this moment, right? When and how how this moment is very different than the moments that we encountered before, right? And it'll be probably very different than when we move forward. So
it's difficult when you find out that the people who kind of structured your life in some way are just people. And that was a snapshot of Kanye, college dropout, Jesus Walks, and now we're getting a new snapshot with MAGA hats. And I think it's always, especially for me, like being 24, going on 25, like as this veil is just like obliterating in front of me of what was childhood. And I feel like Kanye, the piece is like, okay, well, that area of protection is gone. And so now we're seeing things more clearly, but also like, without that protection, more sun gets to us. So you feel like you're getting burned. You're just like, oh, okay, well, less protection, more sunlight.
I also think for me, it's even crazy that we're talking about this right now, right? Like, it's like if it wasn't news, if it wasn't on social media, like if it wasn't on Twitter, I'm not even on Twitter. I don't even hang out there, but I've consumed this information because the people around me have consumed this information. That's right. And it gets to a point even for me, like, I actually don't even want to talk about it. Like, I don't want to talk about him, right? Like, he's living his life. Like, he's a human being. He's a human person. Yeah. He's doing what he wants to do. We actually don't know anything about that man. We don't really know what he likes, and we don't really know, like it's
who he surrounds himself with.
Yeah, and so at every moment, in any day, in any interaction that you have with someone around you, you are making another choice to either continue interacting with them or not, right? Like,
absolutely.
To continue a relationship or a friendship or a conversation or not. And I think, for me, I've just been making the choice to not more often, like not.
Which is good, which is really good. And, you know, let's take it a step further, right? Like, you know, when we have to, I love what you said about kind of like
the veil
of like things that used to be that weren't
to protect you
now that you're seeing a little bit more deeply into it. It's not that it's different. It's just like you understand a little bit more why, right? Like we think about our family situations, right? There were a lot of things that, you know, I saw growing up that my mom didn't give me all the information around, or I didn't know, you know, the full context of the relationship between her and this other person, or her and even like my brothers, right? Like, and when you get a little bit older and you start to reflect on those things, you say, why did mama do that? And it makes you think about those people in that scenario very differently. And so now it's like, okay, how do you respond to it, right? And is this person or this moment or this energy worth my time right now? Right? Is this who I am right now? And do I want to surround myself with these people? And like you're right. Like this, I've been intentionally not like engaging on social about Kanye for that very reason, because it's like Kanye, first of all, he's just brilliant for having the whole world just stop and talk about him, which we can talk about that another day.
That's a whole level of being seen. Like, I can't even imagine. Fredia walks outside with a hat on, and everybody's talking about my hat.
Yeah.
That's a whole other problem.
And then taking it emotionally and very personally, and making raps on like people are. This is very personal.
Yeah.
Kanye's definitely looking at Instagram and Twitter going,
right.
So I much rather process my own like shit.
Yes.
Within my own space, I don't need to process it in front of people who I don't even give a damn about me like that. You know what I mean? So
anyway, with that, I want to say you brought 3 items that represent you today. You brought a starter kit.
Yes.
So for folks who want to get to know you better,
that's
your water. Take a sip. Hello. Start with the pinky ring.
Okay, I'll start with the pinky ring. So pinky ring, and I don't know exactly how I just kind of started to associate the pinky ring with like my personal history of living in Chicago and being from that area, but there's a flamboyancy and there's a culture that like just loves really kind of ornate, flashy things, and like the pinky ring for me is just kind of like a status symbol. You know, Chicago is old pimp culture. Don Juan
similar
like,
to Oakland.
Yeah. You know, the Players Ball was always there, and while I wasn't directly a part of it, you know, thank God. You know, my mom, you know, growing up, my mom knew all those guys, right? And she, you know, she would talk. She had vivid memories of like the stepper sets because she was a Chicago stepper, right? She was in those like spaces and she was dancing, and she was a part of that culture. And so like, you know, there's just, I attribute a lot of that thinking and like that way of being with this like one item. And I've gone through maybe 2 or 3 pinky rings, and I'm very much so like, I love my pinky ring. It goes everywhere. You know, it frames my pictures really nice.
Right.
You know, sometimes when I'm like, you know.
Right.
Listen.
Right. Any pose here.
Right.
Sometimes my voice gets a little light like Money Mike, you know, when I'm talking about my pinky. So it's a very meaningful item for me. It's flashy. It's, you know, I'm a flamboyant like man. Yeah. So like I like my pinky ring.
I like my pinky ring.
We like it too.
I think I like the use of the word flamboyant, because I think that the association with flamboyant is normally like queer or gay, right? It's like very colorful, it's very loud, and those are not necessarily words we associate with Black men necessarily, right? It's like, oh, he's flamboyant. If he's flamboyant, then he's gay, right? We're making fun of him.
Especially like the meaning of the word is very descriptive of Black men in a lot of cultures, contexts, right? Like you would even like, it's just the way I think our bias is toward like queer communities, gay culture, all this stuff. We've kind of demonized the word, but like if we think about it, like Drake is flamboyant, right? We think about like the first MWA, like the gold chains, the Oakland hats, flashy. Like flashy is flamboyant, right? Like it's being set apart as being other. The Jerry curl, right? Like
sitting in the salon with rollers in your hair, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. Come on,
I love Snoop Dogg with rollers. That's my favorite Snoop.
I mean, you ain't gonna say shit to Snoop either, right?
Ain't nobody walking up on Snoop with those curlers in his hair.
The pimps in Chicago, right? Like hot pink suit, like top hat.
Where did you get that hot pink suit?
I mean, dandyism, right? Like you know, like we think about things that are very black and very black male too, right? So like flamboyant is a part of our culture. I just think, you know, we'll talk about that in a second, but we sometimes we are trained to suppress like our ourselves and to conform to a standard that wasn't even ours to begin with. It was never our culture. But anyway.
Let's talk about it now. What you into? Let's talk about it now.
I'm gonna get into it.
Well, jump in.
Because in our conversation, right, we talked a little bit about gender norms, right, between you and Ariel, and how you often do things that are stereotypically a woman's role, and how you really are proud of the things that you do at home, like cooking and cleaning, and how much that benefits your partner. And then similarly, when we were at housewarming, and you know, you love to dance as well. And so I was looking at you and I was like, I love how much you love to dance, and in all facets, right? It's not just a basic nigga 1, 2, you know, like this shoulder shit, right? You like really get down and dance. And I was just thinking, why is it, especially with my experience with men here in the Bay Area, you know, it's you're not about to bust a move with me, right? You're gonna immediately grab my hips and turn me around and want me to do some, and that's not happening either. So yeah, I guess we talked about this a bit more. Where's that level of what's the word I'm looking for? Confidence in your manliness, in your gender, in your identity, and how do you push past men who maybe question your masculinity because of just how flamboyant you are. Yeah.
So you guys, this is really special for me just because I've been having conversations over the years about masculinity, about what does it mean to just be your true self, and it not be, you know, labeled like a label, right? Or you fit into a certain box. And this is the first time I'm really articulating it with women too, right? Outside of my wife and a few other like close confidants. So I appreciate the space. I didn't really evolve to really understand my personality until you have those pivotal moments of going to college, getting away from where you grew up, and seeing, and it's weird because sometimes people think that you're becoming something else when you separate or distance yourself from the environment that you grew up with. For me though, it was like a recognition of like, oh, I was already all of these things. And like college was, and these like really kind of distinct spaces were moments where I can just really double down and just become who it was that I was really interested in being. Dance and dance culture is a big part of my life. So I was that kid who was too shy to dance growing up. But I was always in the mirror. I was always in my room to myself dancing. And it was my biggest inspirations, of course, were Usher, right? And then when I got to high school, I was like, who is this Chris Brown? Why is he like everything, but like everything I wanted to be, right? You know, even Michael Jackson, thinking about Prince. I mean, Prince, just amazing dancer, right? All these male dancers, right? James Brown. It was just always a part of like me, but it was the showmanship of the dance, right? So it was not just like being able to move, but it was like, what story can you tell when you're moving, right? And what music was playing such that you can kind of interpret what whoever made that music was trying to say also. So like when I got to college, that was the first time I was exposed to Caribbean culture, Caribbean music, dance hall, soca. I also was exposed to a lot of the regional kind of hip hop music too, right? So like all I knew was Chicago, like footwork, right? And that was like fast tempo ghetto house music. But I was exposed to Jersey club, which was a little similar, right? But it's Jersey, right? Or a Baltimore club, which is very similar to Jersey, but it's the distinction. Or, Miami music, right? Like, I forget what it's called. But like even like New Orleans bounce, right, has a very specific like sound. And like being in love with dance and understanding how, those folks translate that sound into movement, I loved it, right? And so I joined a hip hop group when I was in school. Mind you, this is MIT, right? So anybody.
So you're at MIT.
Right. I'm at MIT
in a dance group.
In a hip hop dance group called Mocha Moves.
I want to see the squad.
Listen,
the squad.
I love this group with all of my heart, and it was like that group that I just felt I could just. Especially being on a campus that wasn't traditionally associated with the arts or creativity,
right.
I just felt like that was the safe space, right? And we were a part of a really large dance community in Boston too, and these are like professional dancers, right? Like, we had folks at Emerson, Boston College, Berkeley College of Music. There was a few dancers there, and there's just a classical. It was like a dope. Environment where you had a mixture of different types of dancing, but like dancing was really a big part of like how I started to become more comfortable in this identity of like not quite overly masculine, right? Because some dance movements are considered feminine, and even like learning when I got into dance that my older brother who went to Morehouse was an African dancer, and he was a professional African dancer. And not only was he an African dancer, he was a ballroom dancer too, right? In the Vogue scene, right? So like this dude was like
bad.
This dude was bad, right? And I didn't know anything about it until I got older, right? Because and a lot of it was just because like he didn't feel comfortable in the house talking about it. I knew he was an African dancer, but I didn't know he was like that good. And he danced professionally with a group for a while when he was in school, and he was on the ballroom scene when he was down there too. So like it was really cool when I got to college and we started spending more time with each other because he moved to New York at that time. Dance became that language, that universal language that exposed me to all these other things. And so that's why I think developing kind of as a dancer, but then also having conversations in communities that I wouldn't have been able to be a part of without like music and dance. It really helped me process my own kind of self-identity as it related to masculinity, as it related to gender norms, as it related to how I express myself in my clothes. I believe, gender is like spectrum. Right. So I don't believe in I believe in masculine and feminine qualities, right? Like as a quality, as a descriptors. I'm not as descriptors, but as qualities, not as like set things. And so like some people are on like a spectrum, right? Some people are more feminine than most, and some people are more masculine. And I would just say like when it relates to my partner, my wife, she has what we would consider traditional masculine qualities in the sense of like her presence, like in the workplace, right? Being someone who wants to work her way up the corporate ladder, ambitious, hard worker, provider, right? Like she wants to be a monetary provider, and I do too. But like in a way that like I don't want to do it at the expense of like not allowing her to be who she truly is, right? And when you think about her lineage and the family that she comes from, she's Trinidadian Panamanian, but she grew up in a Bayesian and Panamanian household, and the mother runs the household, right? Like the mother is the aggressive one, right? The matriarch, right? And so like there are things that like, understanding that and then falling in love with a woman who is not very typical. It gave me the space to just be more atypical, right? So like, as a partner, I'm just going to make sure she has everything that she needs, right? So when she's going hard and working, I'm going to like take care of her, right? I'm going to make sure she has everything she needs to make her grind even better, right? And so some people would think that is a more traditional feminine role. But like for me, it's like, okay, whether it's masculine or feminine, it's partnership, right? And what we know to be partnership, or at least what we've agreed that partnership looks like. I was given this by my older brother. Okay. So he gave it to me. It was actually, I remember when he gave it to me, it was the day my twin got married. And he had an old bag that he like just never used. He's like, "You want this?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "What can I use this for?" I'm gonna carry around my camera. But like the fact that it is literally a purse, it was important, and it was interesting to have it be given to me by my older brother. Yeah. Right. Who's very much so an artist, queer. It was important for me to just call this what it is, which is a purse. This is my purse. My older brother gave me this purse. Yes. And I love this purse.
Who's on the buttons here? We see some some old friends and some new friends.
The Very Black Project. Shout out to my boy Andre.
Shout out Very Black.
I actually met him in person the first time in 2015 at Afropunk, and he had a booth right next to ours, and I thought it was like so dope. And I was like, "Yo, Very Black. Everything about this is amazing." I started to unpack his story and learn more from him, and we developed like a virtual relationship. And then I met him in person for the first time at this last Afrotech. And
I think I met him before Afrotech, but I definitely had the greatest dance session with him at that Friday at that party.
Oh my God, yeah.
Do you remember dancing?
You were there.
You were there. Somebody said to me afterwards, "You should have won the award for the dance competition tonight."
Because this is the thing, when you dance with Andre, he's so free. Yeah. He's just so you can just feel like he's been through a lot, and so he's like, "I'm very grateful for life." Yeah. And so when you're speaking with him, you're just like, I feel safe here. When you're dancing with him, I feel safe here. It's amazing.
You can hear God in his voice. You can hear the love. Like, so he recently did a story on Instagram around like him being a cancer survivor, and he was unpacking the different layers of like, not only did I survive this, I'm surviving the traumas that are associated with this, and I'm learning how to create safe spaces for other people who have gone through like big traumas in their lives. And it's just like that right there, I was messed up. I was a wreck for like a morning, just because I want to be that compassionate about people, and I want to invite people into my life that earnestly, and like have them care for me in a way that like I'm just being myself, right? Like he just like invited people to care for him in the most like authentic way, and I think that was just beautiful, so beautiful.
Shout out to you, Andre. Until we get you in studio. So we have Very Black. Who else we got?
We will soon. He's moving. He's moving here.
We'll get him.
So I'll just talk about Walker & Company. So that's the company that brought me to the Bay. Tristan Walker, shout out to him.
Big guy
out here.
Cool man.
He created a company. The first product was Bevel. Bevel actually literally changed the way I thought about my trajectory as a creative professional. I was in advertising. I came across this amazing content, this amazing storytelling platform that portrayed people from our community in a way that I had never seen it before. We all knew what the barbershop culture was. We all knew what kind of the grooming space looked like from our own vantage points, but he was able to capture something like a moment in time with the products that he created. So like it really just changed the way I thought about the impact that I could have in the world. And I made it my mission to seek, out that company and figure out a way to be a part of it in some way. Yeah. He gave me the opportunity to help him build the second phase of it. So,
which is
so I came on, developed some work for Bevel, but then he just launched we just launched a hair care line called Form. So I was able to be a part of like from the ground up making that product for women of color. So it was really cool. Yeah, I miss all those folks. So
shout out to Walker & Company.
Shout out.
And then who's last on the bag?
So the last thing on the bag is myself. So for my 28th birthday, I like codified it, and I tried to create a moment where I created some piece of art to represent like the the point in which I was in my life, right? So I had all these amazing creators around me. I had just moved to the Bay. You know, I was trying to get back into my photography a lot. So I was like, for my 28th birthday, I'm just going to create something. And I created a whole weekend around just what does it mean to be 28? What is that year, or that in numerology, what does 28 signify, and all those different things. And it was you know, 28 from what I remember embodies love, and then it's energy, and it's this idea of being able to it's a complete number, right? So it's you know, it's derived from 7, which means completion. And you know, it's really symbolic. It was a really symbolic moment in my life too. And that's also this year has been like a really big transition for me as well. So like, it was cool to just try to capture it in like a moment. The world kind of doesn't know really what it was, but like for me, it just is like, I know what it was. So.
And they came and just celebrated it with you.
I did a whole like photo walk experience where I shot all black and white film with a couple of folks, and these were people in my circle that like I knew very well, and then also some new folks that I didn't know very well. So it was like I made a whole photo book and diary about it. So, but it's like more like things that I did for myself.
Sure. You know? Yeah. So I think you talking about the photo book and the photo walk transitions us into your last item that you brought, which is your camera.
My camera, my trusty film camera. So this one is a newer body that I have. I've always been Nikon just because I grew up on Nikon. I love Canon, but I grew up on Nikon. But this is actually a film body that I can mount my digital lenses on. So right now I have a roll of Portra 800, Kodak Portra 800. I've been trying to shoot film more. Film actually is a very different medium than digital. And, you know, digital derived from film, but I find that film makes me think about the photos that I actually really want to capture and the moments that I want to try to capture, and be very in tune with everything that's happening, because it is only 36 exposures, right?
Sure.
With a digital camera, I'm snapping 200 photos, and I'm only maybe taking like 4 or 5.
And keeping 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I understand what you mean when you talk about that, especially in the day and age where we have a cell phone that takes photos as well. And so you can just keep on pressing the button, right? We were talking about just having a lot of frames.
Yeah.
And so I think when you have this, you're being very choosy about your frames.
Yeah.
I want to know, when did you decide to actually call yourself a photographer? You've been a creative professional.
I have a mixed relationship with being a photographer, and because I never considered myself being that good, but it was always a medium that I felt that I could purely express what I was feeling. Even in high school, I just remember having like a digital point and shoot and being super obsessed with the photo that I caught, and then how I processed that photo, right? So I was on like HP Photo Smart, or like Paint, like art, or what is it?
Throwback.
Yeah, Microsoft Paint or whatever that was. Just being really obsessed over the image quality, and I think it was just because I just cared about what I saw, and like I wanted other people to care about what I saw too. So I you know, slowly but surely picked up the camera, started to learn some things, and you know, I try to deliberately not make it like my job, just more of like what I like to do. Now I've been able to use my skills as a photographer, someone who can do photography, to influence the work that I do for like as a creative professional. But it's never been my sole identity, and I think part of it was confidence, but then the other part of it now is just like it's sacred.
Sure.
You know, and that's why I carry it around. At least this one, I carry it around everywhere I go in your purse.
You talked about your brother being the artist, right? Like him being the real creative. And I don't say real creative because I know even me personally, people are like, oh, you're so creative. You must be an artist. I'm like, but okay, if you ask me to paint, I can't. If you ask me to like, I don't do any of those traditional art forms. I didn't study art, so I had a hard time kind of identifying with that language, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's hard when you're self-taught, when you just decided you liked it, that it's hard to compare yourself with some of those people that you look up to.
Absolutely. Yeah. So funny enough, both of my brothers, so I have two brothers. So a twin brother who is my fraternal brother, and he looks like me, just like 30, 40 pounds more than me. He played football. He was that guy, right? Just super buff, deep voice like this. He was what you would consider the hyper masculine version of me. And then my older brother, who is also, he's an artist as well. The dancer. Yes. The dancer who turned into a DJ by night, but also like a vocalist and a songwriter. So he's very much so in the space where he's an artist, like a performer. He sang with a group called Hercules and Love Affair between like 2009 and 2011. Those years might be a little off. But those folks, both my twin brother and my older brother, to me, were the more pure artists, right? So my brother is a musician. My older brother is a musician, songwriter, music, melody, all that stuff. That's him. And my twin brother is like as a comic book illustrator, right? So, or his style is very comic book-esque, but he's more so an illustrator, painter, only deals with traditional mediums, right? So he did this amazing series for Black Panther, where he kind of like took the Black Panther like archetypes and fused them with the classic Jordan Jumpman wings portrait. So remember when Jordan had his hands out like this, and like all you saw was a silhouette of Jordan. So he fused like his love for Black Panther and his love for like comic books and all that stuff with these hand-drawn, hand-painted pieces of all these different characters of Black Panther. And like it's like his style of illustration is just so beautiful, and like he's just, to me, a pure artist. Whereas for me it was just like I'm creative, but I don't really know if I'm like an artist, right?
Sure.
But when you were talking, it made me think about this idea of what creativity really is, and people's processes are generally the same, but like their expression, the way their end result is usually different depending on what they're doing. But creativity is really taking something that is metaphysical and emotive and really kind of bring it into the physical, right? Or bring it into a way that the people around you can understand it, right? So like this camera is just what I see in the world, right? So like I'm actually processing light in a very interesting way, because like I'm watching him on the camera and I'm seeing how the light is hitting his face, and I'm saying, oh, it's hitting it at the right place. And like I'm like, I want to express, or I want people to see exactly what I'm seeing. So I use this thing called a camera to really try to bring that out. And I think it's the same thing for my brother, right? My older brother, he's hearing melodies. He's hearing songs, and like there are things on his heart that he wants to say, and the way he expresses it is through music, right? And my twin, he's seeing all these different things. He's seeing these worlds, and the way he wants to express it is through pen. It just so happens that my expression not only is a camera, but it's the way I create mediums and technologies and all these different things that are a little bit atypical of an artist, but like what I do every day is art, right? Because I'm bringing some level of emotional energy, some level of like understanding of the human condition, and trying to channel it into something that you guys can all look at and see and benefit from.
I think that's also something you do. I mean, not every artist or creative can be a creative director as well.
True.
Right? And so with art, a lot of artists forget that art has to be, in order to communicate your idea with the world or whomever your audience, you have to be able to sustain that idea, whether that's financially or, just being able to get the space to make it, get the materials to make it. And so I guess with you managing and using, going back to the idea of your brother was the hands and you were the mind, what skill sets do you think helped you become the creative director that you are today? What kinds of conversations, books, classes, skill sets that help people manage and kind of push projects through? Because I know a lot of artists who are listening may be like, I have this great idea, but artists often have a really difficult time making it happen.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I even have a difficult time just trying to
bring
myself to actually do something, create something, because I have to sacrifice something, right? I have to sacrifice time, I have to sacrifice energy, I have to sacrifice money, right? Whatever it is. But over the years, I've been able to cultivate the things that I've been interested in doing and creating by constant repetition, right? So practicing the thing. So at first it was being a graphic designer. So it's not only finding ways to teach yourself how to do it, but also seeking out moments where you can be that thing, even if you don't think you are it just yet, right?
So showcasing what you have when you have it.
Exactly. And so some things, I had a natural talent to be able to process things and, to color match and all that stuff. And that's not natural, right? And I had to remember that, growing up in the house, my mom is a seamstress, and she was also a singer as well. But
what was she not at this point? I'm sorry. She was a dancer.
Mama
minister,
did it all. Mama was
seamstress. She's had many roles, many lives in your one life. Okay.
Yeah, Mama could have been Shaka Khan if she wanted to be. She was specifically the architect in the house, right? So we always changed the house every 3 months. She was rearranging furniture, right? We didn't have a lot of money, but the thrift store was the thing, right? So she would go and find not only certain thrifted pieces, but she would also go and get fabric and make stuff, right? She made us backpacks. She made us all these different things. But a lot of that creation was her actually just doing it over and over again. And so,
12th grade backpack was lit.
Oh, man.
First grade backpack,
especially
maybe
because we had to have clear book bags, right? So I lived in an area where,
what are the clear backpacks?
Got real.
Oh, see-through one. You didn't have a clear backpack?
So at one point,
I had the Go Dummy backpack with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the back of it.
Did you ever have a kid backpack?
Little mini backpack?
Yeah. Was that big out there? Because it was big here for sure.
Put your backpack right underneath
I remember having a kid backpack at some point, but because it was two of us, twins. Moms had to, do some other stuff. I remember distinctly though, at one point in our elementary schools, which was messed up, they had mandated clear book bags, right? So literally backpacks that were made out of plastic, right? So you can see everything that goes into them because kids were bringing guns to school, bringing contraband. And I lived in an area where, it was gang violence and it was drugs, right? So
middle school.
It was disproportionate. I feel like they were disproportionately abusive in our communities just because we were primarily community of colors, whatever. But, I just remember having those clear book bags, and my mom was, at one point, because they were so malleable, right? They were always breaking. Yeah. Mom was like, yo, I can't keep buying these clear book bags. So she took an old denim, she took an old piece of jean denim. She cut it up. She made that the base of our backpack, and then she added plastic around it. So it's she created a plastic backpack that was like a drawstring backpack, but it was stronger than the typical ones.
It had denim on the bottom.
It had denim in the bottom, but it was also it was acceptable because you could see through it. Right? Yeah. It was some real fly, dope shit, right? So a lot of it was just taking what you had, making what you want. Yeah. And the constant, just always keep solving problems, always solve the problems of where you're at and not try to solve the problems of where you think you should be, because I'm guilty of trying to be more than I am sometimes because I think I have arrived or I've been at these things. No, just take what you got and just make what you want.
So I don't want to interrupt you.
No, you can interrupt.
But we about to take what we got and make what we want.
Let's do it.
With these paper.
Oh, cool.
And these pens.
So we're gonna play a game.
Okay.
I'm gonna facilitate for the two of you.
I have to draw.
Yes, I'm not drawing.
Should I take this down?
Yeah, you can take it down.
Cool.
I can't draw for nothing. And it's not a competition. It's a game. It's just fun. And so you're each going to get we're going to get 2 pieces of paper each. And this is called It's a drawing. And I'm going to give you both 30 respective seconds to draw something that I come up with in my mind. I'm going to get my timer out. And you will have those 30 seconds to draw. Do not look at each other's papers for inspiration. And just, what comes to you. Setting my timer, and you will be drawing a cat.
Go.
Oh,
my bad.
Do 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 do. Is this annoying?
Mm-mm.
Do 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 do.
What do you think?
Do 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 do. 5 seconds on the clock, and you are done. Pins down. I'm good at that.
Yours is pretty.
Yours is pretty too.
Shall we reveal them to the cameras? Let's see. Why yours is so small?
I was thinking about using more of the paper.
I was thinking about that too, but I was like, it's too late now.
I see that your cat has some exquisite eyebrows. Was there an inspiration for that?
Nah, but kind of what you were talking about your cat earlier. It was like
being mischievous.
Yeah.
That's what came to mind.
Yeah, so I just was like,
so
I'm gonna go for it.
This is Pebbles. This is similar to what Pebbles looks like.
My cat is skinny as shit.
Okay, your cat's malnourished.
My cat is skinny as shit.
Your cat's malnourished.
Yeah.
It's cool though.
We
out
like
here.
An
elegant cat.
We out here.
I think they're both beautiful. All right, we're gonna do one more.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm getting the idea in my mind. Draw Mona Lisa. 30 seconds. Go. You can interpret her however you will want to. She's the first thing that popped up in my mind.
Great.
I've never seen the Mona Lisa.
I have. And my drawing looks nothing like the Mona Lisa.
You're already thinking that it doesn't.
I just already over it.
And you'll have 5 seconds to complete your drawing of the Mona Lisa.
I don't even want to show mine.
But you will. Stop. Down.
His looks great.
This is Aunt Jemima Lisa? Who is that?
So I had a little bit
like draw whatever you want.
Yeah, I was like Mona Lisa. What style of painting was that? It was definitely a Renaissance piece, but it was like
That was a Picasso?
Picasso?
That's all I know.
Oh no. I don't think it was Picasso.
Is Mona Lisa not by Pablo Picasso?
No.
Who is it by? I did not do well in art class, everyone.
I took art history too. I didn't remember. But okay. I was like, you want me to draw this? I'm going to draw my interpretation of Mona Lisa, which is a stoic, beautiful woman.
Okay.
Yeah, I gave her a fro too.
Good. Yeah. It looks palpable, looks soft.
Yeah, it
full.
Does look soft. Yeah.
Are you refusing to share yours, Jena? Are you refusing to?
Folded mine up casually.
Right? No, it's not a competition.
Oh, but mine doesn't even look like a human.
It's just a creative expression of self. Great.
That's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Thank you, Jena.
And she's got really long hair.
Yeah.
Well, she had long hair, I think. I just remember her arms. That was the bottom part.
Yeah, I didn't get to her arms.
Listen, you didn't listen. You both.
The afro looks great.
You both played excellently. Thank you for playing with us this week on It's a Look. You can give these back to me. I'll take them back to my office, put them framed up. Aww. I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna give this one to Pebbles.
That Mona Lisa one for sure.
I'll give this to Pebbles. Let her know that this is the interpretation of her. She will not enjoy that. You guys are hilarious. Fantastic.
Okay, Quinnton. So we've just played our last game. We've covered your items, all of the things that you brought in to share with us. I want to give you an opportunity to share anything that you haven't shared yet. If there was one takeaway that you want the audience to take from this conversation, what is that thing?
In order to be your true self, you have to love your true self. And the only way you can learn to love your true self is, I believe, accepting that you're enough and receiving. So in my personal faith, receiving the love that God already has for you, and it's abundant and it's non-conforming, right? It's non-judgmental. It's free, and you just have to access it. And so, part of it is just being able to be in love with yourself and be able to access in meditation and in prayer that calming ease and that spirit that allows you to love yourself.
Is there something you think about or say? I know sometimes in meditation people have a mantra that they'll say. Is there one that you participate with?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Graciousness is the biggest thing for me. So just closing my eyes and saying thank you. And that allows my mind to go in a lot of different places. But like, even when things don't even feel good, thank you, because it allows me to always put in perspective everyone and everything that I have around me. And I just know that I'm living a life that that I couldn't have even wished for, So usually that's what gets me into the spirit.
Thank you
very much. Where can our audience find you, follow you, subscribe to you? What other platforms should they be following as well?
So you can, follow me on the standard Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's just my name, Quinnton Harris, Quinnton Harris, no space, no dash, none of that, all lowercase. And I would say be on the lookout at Blavity, Blavity.com. That's where I'm spending a lot of my time. And you're going to see some pretty cool changes in the next couple months. So.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Quinnton, once again, from Jena and I, from the bottom of our heart and our audience as well, thank you so much for joining us on another incredible episode with the creative director of Blavity, incredible photographer, phenomenal human being, wonderful husband and partner, Quinnton Harris.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap.